for you to stay on at Fox News.
But you don't let your number one guy go unless you have information that you think makes him.
That's not true. Think about those 5 women and what they did. They came forward and filed complaints against the biggest star at the network they worked at. Think of how intimidating that must have been, how nerve-wracking that must have been. Doesn't that tell you how strongly they felt about the way they were treated by you?
Very interesting, to say the least, now that we are just over 2 months since that interview. That was September 19th of this year, that interview with Bill O'Reilly. And you could supplant one name for the other after today's bombshell report that Matt Lauer is out of a job at NBC amid allegations of sexual misconduct.
Oh, shit.
Back with me to talk about the seismic, and not only shift in TV, but the effect on this movement. CNN's senior media correspondent and host of Reliable Sources, Brian Stelter. CNN special correspondent Jamie Gangel, who spent 30 years plus at NBC News. Attorney Nancy Erica Smith, who won Gretchen Carlson's $20 million settlement with Fox News. And victims' rights attorney Ariva Martin. Back to the reporting for a minute, Brian, if I can, because as I said, it's coming out fairly quickly. The New York Times dropping this information that the 2 new accusers who've come out today, they're actually giving details about what one of them has said happened.
That's right. And NBC's confirmed it did receive 2 new complaints today. It's not sharing the details, but according to the Times, which was able to speak with one of these new accusers, this woman says she worked at NBC in the late 1990s, met Lauer, worked with Lauer on the Today Show, and then in 2001, he asked her to come to his office. He closed the door. He had a button in his office to lock the door in his office. He says he asked her to undress. According to this account in the New York Times, the woman says Lauer had sex with her. At one point, she passed out. She woke up. This is according to the New York Times. She, quote, woke up on the floor of his office, and Lauer had his assistant take her to a nurse. That's the allegation described by this anonymous woman to the New York Times. She says she did not report the episode to NBC at the time because she believed she should have done more to stop Lauer from having sex with her, and then she left the network a year later.
And she told her husband about it at the time, she says.
That's right. That's part of the corroboration here, that she told her husband what happened. Now, after that alleged incident in Lauer's office, she says Lauer did not talk to her about it again, did not hit on her again. But it's a very disturbing allegation that Lauer brought her to the office, had sex with her, and that she had to go see a nurse afterwards because she passed out.
And you have reporting that that Matt accepted this decision by Andy Lack, his boss, by NBC News, and that he expressed remorse.
That's right. That's all we've heard from him, because he has not issued a statement today. No confirmation, no denial. I just a few minutes ago texted his PR person, still no official comment from him, but he did apparently say to Andy Lack that he was remorseful. He knew this was going to hurt the Today Show and hurt NBC, and he felt sorry about that. I do wonder if in the coming days he will issue a statement. You know, so many men accused of various wrongdoings have issued statements. Many of them have not hit the mark. Remember Kevin Spacey, remember Harvey Weinstein, remember all of these men. Louis C.K. Put out a long statement. We've seen a lot of men trying to address allegations in various ways. We'll see if Lauer does it.
So I actually want to bring in Ariva Martin on that. As a victims' rights attorney, Ariva, you're the perfect person to ask, because there was not a suspension prior to an investigation and then a firing. We've seen that happen. Sometimes not even the suspension prior to an investigation and then a firing. Is this a sea change that you see is going to be the norm? Is this an outlying reaction, a knee-jerk reaction? What do you see this as?
Yeah, actually, I think it's hard to say whether this is going to become the norm. I think what we do know is the fact that NBC terminated Matt Lauer meant that these allegations were severe, that they were substantial allegations, and that they were corroborated. There were many things in terms of disciplinary actions that they could have done short of terminating him, but apparently whatever that 3-hour interview, contained with respect to that woman who came forward and was in the office with NBC Monday night, she must have had some pretty serious allegations, and there was evidence that these allegations were true, because termination was the ultimate disciplinary action. And let's face it, Matt Lauer has a big contract with NBC, so if they fired him and they made a misstep, he could be suing them for wrongful termination. So I'm sure all the lawyers from the top to the bottom at NBC were involved in this decision, and they decided that legally this was the best decision to make, as well as from a reputation and brand standpoint.